right, GFC coming up this weekend, 5th annual, Battle Creek, Michigan. It's going down on Saturday. We're here quickly. We're going to run through all the weight classes and we're going to give our final predictions for each weight. Now you can check back and on MichiganGrappler.com we're going to have more in-depth breakdown of each weight class, weight by weight. But right now I've got the two smartest wrestling minds in the country, Associated Wrestling Press high school analyst Steve Widzinkski to my left, and Associated Wrestling Press college analyst JJ Johnson to my far left. And what we're doing right now, guys, we're going to go through each weight, and I want you guys to give me just very briefly, very simply, your final picks at each weight class. So we're going to start out with 98 pounds. We've got a pretty good group of little guys. Steve, what do you got at 98?
I got the number 2 seed, Billy Simpson from Oklahoma, taking out the number 4 seed, Michael Myers from Wesleyan John Glenn, Michigan, both freshmen this year.
JJ?
And I'm going to flip that decision. I got Mikey Mars over Billy Simpson in the finals.
Mikey Mars and Simpson in the finals at 98. 105. Guys, we got a pretty loaded weight class at 105. We actually have two returning GFC champs. We have the returning champ last year, 98, Louis Hayes from Illinois. We also have a returning middle school champ, Austin Franco, who was runner-up to Louis Hayes in the finals last year at 98. I think I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Steve, 105, who you got?
I think we got a rematch of last year's 98-pound final, but I think that Austin Franco is flipping the switch, and he will be the champ this year over Louis Hayes.
Okay. JJ?
I think Hayes is still the champ. I like his style. He wrestles really hard. Franco does too. Both guys are really tough, but should be a really good match. I got Hayes.
So we got Hayes and Franco, 105. 112, we got a pretty tough weight. We got kids from all over the country coming in at 112. We got Indiana, Florida, Michigan, Ohio, New York. Even got some kids from Georgia coming at this weight, so it's going to be a loaded weight class. Steve, who you got 112?
I think the favorite is Paul Conrath by a pretty high margin. He's the number 4 ranked guy at 106 in the country, Indiana State runner-up. And I get him wrestling Caleb Smith, a former GFC champion in the finals, with Conrath getting the win.
Smith's funky.
I think Conrath wins it as well. I'm going to go with John Simez making the finals, the 6th seed out of John Glenn,
Nice.
looking really strong in the preseason. So
I like that. So you guys are both going with Conrath at 112, Fargo champ from Indiana. 119, quite possibly the toughest weight in this tournament. Honestly, this could be one of the toughest preseason national weight classes of all tournaments. I'm pretty sure last time I checked that the top 7 guys in this weight are nationally ranked kids. So super tough weight. Probably hard to pick, but Steve, who you got?
I got number 4 seed Lucas Hall getting a big win over Chris Williams of Illinois in the semis, and then beating Doyle Trout of Nebraska in the finals.
So you got
Lucas
Hall over Trout. JJ, who you got?
I think the 1 seed holds up. Chris Williams, pretty dynamic dude. I think he wins it, and I actually think it's going to be the top 2 seeds. As many good kids as there are here, I think McCall makes the finals. But watch for that Williams-Lucas Hall match in the semis. That should be pretty exciting.
All right, guys. Pretty much sticking with the top seeds so far. Not a lot of big upsets picked yet. 125, another weight class, not quite as deep as 119, but you're looking at a weight here where you got Minnesota, Michigan, Florida, Iowa, Indiana. You got studs, Wisconsin, coming from all over. Steve, who you got?
I really like Kanan Storr a lot. I think he's the champ at 125, and in the finals, I think he's beating 4-time Minnesota State champion Cam Shakura. Both those guys top 20 in the country on AWP at 120 pounds.
JJ.
I'm going to go with Storr also over Sakura. Kanan's tough dude, a lot of good attacks, and he looked really good last year in the preseason. I know he's been training hard, so
Returning GFC champ.
I think him and Mason Smith will be a really good match in the semis. I also think the winner of the Gonzer-Griffin quarterfinal and Cam Sakura will be a good match in that semi too. So lots of good wrestling.
Deep weight class. Someone's going to get some there. 130, we got a late last-minute entry, just got added into the mix today, and that is returning GFC champ Lincoln Olson, who's also 3-time state champ Michigan, going for his 4th recent Oklahoma State commitment. He's added. I'm sure that's going to change your guys' picks. But 130, it's deep. We got other kids, Florida, Michigan, Kentucky, studs coming. Who you got, Steve?
There's a lot of kids I like, but I think Lincoln is going to dominate. I think he's going to become a 2-time GFC champ, and in the finals, I got him beating Franco Valdez from Florida.
JJ.
Yeah, Lincoln Olsen's the clear favorite. I actually have him beating Matt Santos in the finals. Him and Valdez are two good young guys, though. Valdez is really impressive at Disney this summer, so that should be a good semi.
All right, moving on to 135. This is it's not the deepest weight class, but up top we got some hammers up top here at 135. We have Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and Florida, and even West Virginia. Studs from all those states coming in at 135. Steve, who you like?
This is tough. I think Carter Happel, Brandon James from Iowa and Indiana, respectively. I think that's definitely the final. Been flipping back and forth on it. I actually really like Brandon James. Maybe a slight upset, but I think Brandon James, the number 2 seed from Indiana, is going to get it done.
JJ?
I got the exact same pick, and that's just because I've watched James wrestle more than Happel. Not as familiar with him, but obviously both guys have really good results. But I think Brandon James wins also.
Brandon James, that's an upset. Carter Happel, Fila Cadet World Team member last year. He's ranked top 10 in the country. He's a stud coming from Iowa. All right, 140. This is a weight that we got one of the better kids from Michigan, Nate Limix. Also got state champ Austin Thompson, Tommy Cash, another state champ from Michigan, and Austin Melton, as well as Dylan Taylor, state champ from West Virginia at 140. Steve, who is your pick?
Nate Limix, he's had a lot of really good results at the GFC. Missed it last year because of an injury. But hasn't won a title yet. I think he dominates, wins his first GFC championship, and I think he is beating Austin Thompson in the finals.
All Michigan. Who you got, JJ?
I have the same finals again. Thompson beat Cash in a pretty good match last weekend, so that should be another good one. Those guys have split in the past, but I got Lemix winning it, and in 2 weeks I got him winning Super 32 also. I'll just throw that in there.
All right, we're moving on to 145. 145, we got a lot of Michigan kids and also a few other kids from other states that are pretty tough as well. We're gonna flip the order here. We're gonna go JJ first. JJ, who you got?
145. I think it's gonna be the top 2 seeds. I think they're just a little bit better than the rest of the field. That's Foster Carmen and Logan Parks. That's a tough call. I got Foster Carmen winning. A lot of people might say that since he's making a big jump that that might hurt him, but I think you'll find a lot those lighter guys once they move up that it actually is beneficial because they're used to wrestling that lightweight style. So I think he squeaks past Logan Parks. Both guys are really good, and they're both going to have good years, but I got Foster winning.
I agree with JJ in the finals. I think it's Parks Carmen is what you got to go with, but I think Carmen at this tournament last year, he just moved up a few weight classes. I think he'd gone from 103 to 125, and he didn't look totally comfortable at that point. So I think he's still going to be kind of figuring out the new weight class. I don't think he has any matches under his belt up at 145. So I think Parks a little more comfortable at the weight class. He actually wrestled 152 all summer, so I'm going with Parks to get the win.
All right, we're moving on to 152. 152 is a little bit more wide open than some of these other weights. I think you might have some more guys that can make some noise, but we got number 1 seed is EMU commit Zach Carson. He is the favorite on paper. But JJ, who you got in the finals and who you got winning it?
Yeah, I do have Carson winning it, future Eagle. I have him beating the 3 seed Dylan Ellsworth in the finals. Both guys are actually really explosive. Zach Carson wrestles really hard pace, and he's really good. He wrestles a good college style, good intense style. I got him beating Ellsworth in the finals in a good match.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I really like Carson a lot. I think Ellsworth is the other finalist, and I think Zach Carson gets his GFC title.
All right, let's talk 160. 160 is, unfortunately this year we're without Mark Hall for the first time in a few years, which is going to be a bummer. But this weight class actually shaped out to be a pretty deep weight. I think we got 9 or 10 state placers in this weight class, coming from Michigan as well as Indiana. So, JJ, who you got winning this one?
I've got the 2 seed, Jacob Goriel. I got him beating the 1, Logan Ritchie, in the finals. I don't really have a reason for that. I just feel like Goriel's...
Sometimes you got to go with your gut.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling. I think Goriel's more solid. Ritchie's a little bit more wide open. In preseason, maybe he's not as honed in as he will be later in March. He took some goofy losses last fall, so that's the only reason I'm really going with that. So I got Goriel over Ritchie.
I'll go with the opposite. I think Logan Ritchie, like you said, real explosive, and I think he gets a big move in there, maybe one of his fireman's carries for 5, and he beats Shabu Goriel.
Logan Ritchie, MSU commit. Steve's pick.
Last weekend.
All right, we're going to move on to 171 pounds. This is another weight that, not quite as deep. You get to these bigger weights, we don't have quite as many kids in the bracket, but up top we got some studs, Michigan State champ, Ohio State placer, nationally accomplished dudes from Wisconsin. So, JJ, who you got at 171?
I'm going to go with Devin Pingle winning it. He looked really good last weekend at the Olivet Border Wars Fall Duels. I think he's a little bit better than the rest of the field. I'm going to go with him wrestling Oscar Ramos in the semis out of Wisconsin State placer. Pretty tough guy. So
in the finals?
That's what I mean, in the finals.
Yep. All right, Steve?
I'm going to go with a little bit of an upset. Not a huge upset, but I think the number 2 seed, Andrew McNally from Ohio, really impressed me every time I watch him. One of Zach Carson's teammates at Uniontown Lake. And I think Andrew McNally is the champ. He beats Devin Pingle in the finals.
All right, guys, we're moving on, getting close to the end here. 189 could be one of our better matchups in the finals if things shake out. We got Jack Harris from Ohio, nationally ranked stud, and Jacob Cooper from Michigan, nationally ranked stud, recent commit to Michigan State. JJ, who you got at 189? Is it going to be Harris Cooper or one of the other guys?
It'll be Harris Cooper. I'm pretty confident. They had a really good match this summer. Harris won in overtime. They got in a scramble, and he won the position. I think that's reversed this time. I think Cooper comes out on top over Jackson Harris.
I'm going to go with Harris. Like JJ said, I really don't see anyone else making the finals. They're really comparable results-wise. A lot of the same kids they've wrestled and kind of really right in the middle of the pack. Harris is number 14 at 195. Cooper's number 16 at 195. And I'll just give a slight edge to Harris, but would not shock me to see Cooper win either.
All right, we're getting close to we're getting up to the big guys here. 215. Only a handful of kids. We got about 15, 16 kids in the weight class that are registered, but 4 returning state placers as well as a handful of other guys who have qualified for their state meet and done some stuff on the national scene. JJ, 215, who you got?
I'm going to go with my guy Luke Reddy out of Brighton High School.
Go Dogs.
Had a really good summer. Still looking pretty tough. So I got him winning it. I got him beating Mitchell Gross out of Salem in the finals.
KLAA finals.
In the KLAA rematch from the consolation semis last year.
Well, I really like number 2 seed George Lehar a lot. Had a really good summer, but I think Reddy wins pretty dominantly. I know he had the last win over Lehar, and I think he's the GFC champ at 215.
All right, guys, the big dudes, 285. It's pretty wide open. We don't have any real hammers that stand out, although there are a few real solid big guys who are state qualifiers or regional qualifiers coming back. So the big guys, JJ, who you got?
I'm going to go with the 3 seed. Chase Morrison had a pretty good offseason. And like you said, most of these guys are pretty comparable, so it could go any way. But I'm going to have him knocking off the 4 seed Nick Burt in the finals.
I'm going to go with the number 2 seed Cole Ancliffe from Greenville, Michigan, wrestling the number 1 seed John Morris from Carleton Airport in the finals. And both D2 guys probably running through each other at the state meet this year, and I'll give the edge to Ancliffe.
All right, well, there you have it. You heard from the experts their picks on who they think is going to win the Grappler Fall Classic this year in our loaded high school division. We are going to be coming back here over the course of the week with breakdowns of each weight class, where these 2 guys, as well as myself, are going to really break down every weight class. Who the top picks are, who the dark horses are, and really get a little bit deeper with it. But if you haven't already registered, it's not too late. We have a small amount of space left if you still want to get in and get some. You can keep checking back at MichiganGrappler.com, GrapplerFallClassic.com, and stay up to speed with what's going on this last week here before the event goes down. And as always, you can follow us at MichGrappler, M-I-C-H Grappler. And anything about the GFC, we're going to hashtag GFC 2014. And as always, we're going to hashtag Get Some. So check back here, and it might already even be posted as you're watching this video, to watch our more thorough breakdowns of the Grappler Fall Classic.